Hi, everybody. Welcome to Galactic Gaia and Gail Lynn, Harmonic Egg, and Dr. Gail, Skywalking with Moon. Wow, I can't talk today either. And we're talking about the nervous system today. So, and the missing link in healing. So, I think a lot of you probably have your own views on that, or might have your own experiences on that. So, be sure and put them in the comments. Hi, everybody coming in. Deb, good to see you. Gary, hi. Annie Bear, and so there's a lot going on right now that we're healing from and letting go of. It feels like, and especially with the solstice today. So everything's coming into the light. So who wants to start with this one?
Well, I'll just start out with the beginning of the nervous system, the missing piece in healing: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses while people stay stuck, and simple ways to regulate the nervous system. All right, your turn, Gail.
Me? All right. You guys, I love this because nobody knows this, but we get on like 5 minutes before the call. We're like, okay, what are we going to talk about? And so I got ready a little early and but yes, so funny. And I love this topic because it's kind of what I do. And when I created the Harmonic Egg, what I was finding out from doctors, it was the only thing that was really boosting the immune system or the nervous system into a healthier place without medicine. And they also said there's no medicines on the market that will actually help heal the nervous system. And it is the key to healing. So you can do, and I don't want to be like a sales pitch, deep breathing exercises, spending time in nature. And you guys can put in the chat, what do you do to reset your nervous system, to help your nervous system so that you're not stuck in fight or flight? Sitting in meditation or silence. But the Harmonic Egg was so funny. We did 200 heart rate variability tests, which is the gold standard in measuring the autonomic nervous system. And I asked this doctor, because I'm not a doctor, and so I couldn't read the test to a client because I can't treat or diagnose. So I had to hire a doctor to read all these tests. And the machine was called the Ansar machine, which was some stupidly expensive machine I had to lease. But I wanted to know. I said, okay, I want to know how many people would I have to refund their money if they didn't see any improvement in their ANS, in their nervous system. And so Dr. Denise was like, okay, nobody. And I was like, okay, no, Dr. Denise, how many people didn't see an improvement in their nervous system? She's like, I'm telling you, everybody sees an improvement in their nervous system, whether it's slight or huge. And then people started saying, well, Gail, that's not fair because I can't afford, $100, $150 a session. So then I created this downloadable music, which is only WAV files, only the biggest, fullest integrity of music. So Steve Jobs did us no favors on having 1,000 songs on our phone because they're all compressed and the nervous system gets confused. Because think about binary code. Binary code is ones and zeros, zeros and ones. And when you're listening to an MP3 file, your nervous system was like, oh, was that a one? No, that was a zero. No, that. So think about you watching a movie and then you have to think, oh, what just happened? You miss things going on in the movie because you started thinking about, wait, what did I just see? And so that's how music with the nervous system is so important to listen to non-compressed files. They call it a lot of different things, but I call them WAV files or AIFF files, such as AIFF. And Teri, if you want to show that graphic that I sent you, you can see a visual of how different an MP3 file is from a WAV file. And this I got from a musician that did a presentation. So I was like, okay, let me just provide downloadable music then for you guys. Because if you can't get into a Harmonic Egg, at least listen to good music and not MP3 files from YouTube at 528 hertz, where you're not getting that full 528 hertz anyway. And then people are like, yeah, that's still too expensive, $20 a song. I'm like, oh, you guys, okay. So I just created an app and I found out, I mean, you see the difference with that? Like MP3 file and WAV file, just so much more crisp and intense. And you're getting, oh my gosh, such a full integrity of the song. Thanks, Teri. So
Yeah.
App, and I found out recently that I'm now the only app doing WAV files. Like, Calm's not using it. Headspace they're using MP3 files, and I'm super passionate about this, as you guys can see. The nervous system needs the right environment, and if that means that you're in a toxic relationship, get out. If you're in a toxic house full of mold, fix it. If you're in a toxic, workplace, I know it's not as easy to say just get out, but work on that. Start making your long-term plan so that you'll
look at this question. Star, she says, how does it work for someone whose mind is blasted with perpetual shock and trauma that nothing else helps?
Great question. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was me. I mean, molested by the priest in my parish at 14. My dad was an alcoholic. I came flying out of the womb. My mom didn't really want me. She was impregnated by another guy, but then she blamed it on my mom, and all that guilt and fear and shame. I popped out in fight or flight. And until I was 37 years old, I didn't know what rest and digest was. I didn't know how to not be chased by the saber-toothed tiger. And then I was, cheated on or guys cheated on me, or they were cheated. I was in these relationships with these high-powered guys and big egos, and I attracted it. My one ex asked me for a divorce while we were in Peru on vacation because he fell in love with the assistant tour guide.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And my life is stranger than fiction. So I know what you're talking about. The egg will help the nervous system to release this trauma at a cellular level so that you can be the best that you can be. And it's in your highest and best interest to live your life the fullest. And so what I found was I acted like a child.
Well, I want to ask you a question about that first. Now, so what if she doesn't have the financial means or the ability to get to one? What would you recommend then?
So I think, the app is $10 a month. And I think everybody can afford the app. So I try really hard to make it affordable to everybody. Because a lot of people said that, I can't get to a location. Well, there are remote sessions as well if you can afford it, but you don't have one near you. So you got remote sessions, and then you got downloadable music on our website. You got nature. You've got deep breathing. You've got other things that you can do. And it's just such a beautiful thing that when you can release this trauma at a cellular level, I ruined several marriages because I was stuck at age 14 when I was molested by the priest. And then I told the people in the congregation, I told my parents, they're like, you're lying. There's no way that Father Brennan did this. And I was like, no, he did. And he was laying on top of me in my bed, and I'm 14, and I called my mom, and she's like, I don't even know how to get you home from Colorado. That was when I lived in Michigan. It was the first time I was ever on a plane. My parents had never even traveled by plane. And he would take all these girls to Aspen, and guys, but he didn't flirt with the guys. And it would be kind of his little place to be a predator. And I told the other girls, I was like, you guys need to say something. They're like, we saw what just happened to you. You got attacked. No. So I acted like a 14-year-old for a long time because when you have a trauma at a young age, you get stuck there emotionally. So here I'm 14 years old in a marriage with a man and acting like a 14-year-old child. And so I finally was able to release all that trauma. I'm so grateful to the Harmonic Egg. I'm so grateful to learning about the nervous system.
So I'm going to go. So this is how you got unstuck. So why do people get stuck? So I think we need to discuss that a little bit. So we've got like one of the solutions that we're coming up with, but and ways that people can try to get unstuck. So what if they're out in nature and they're out doing all these things, but they're just cannot get past this one point? This one point, and it's probably some kind of trauma that happened in their past, and they can't seem to get over it. And they've been through therapy, they've been doing everything, but they still are stuck because we know those people, and we could be those people.
I was stuck for a long time, and the only thing that I knew is that I didn't have to live like this. I didn't have to be unhappy. I went to therapy, but therapists disappointed me. I was in therapy when I was 21 or 22 years old. And then when I really needed her the most, she went on vacation. And I felt so abandoned. And I got to the point where it's like, the only one I can depend on is me.
I think there's another point there. Because I think a lot of people who are isolated or are stuck in their own world, and don't have or not seeking out support from other people because they're kind of stuck in their own injuries or harm or whatever you want to call it, their trauma. So they don't look outside or can't or not don't trust themselves. In fact, Teri and I talked about this a little bit. Don't trust themselves to find the right people to be able to take those walls down, to be able to you don't trust your instincts anymore. So I think that's a big part of how people get stuck. So we can talk about all these things that they can do. However, there's some kind of hurdle or something that has to be done. And it might be, for me, journeying helps, going into journeying and meditation and journeying and taking all these steps to try to figure out what's going on here. But there are a lot of people who are stuck and a lot of people who are stuck here. And we've come up with the ways, but what do you think would be that one hurdle? What was that one hurdle for you, Gail? What was that trigger that got you through it?
There were so many. I mean, I definitely wanted to kill myself a few times. This girl here in the chat saying that she was raped, and I'm so sorry. Raped by my first husband. I didn't know, like, I'd never had sex, right? So he was my first one. And I remember how much he would just be on top of me, and I was squeezing him, and I would give him bruises, like, just get off of me, and it hurt. And so I didn't realize that was a form of rape as well. And my second husband, the same thing. Like, he said he was going through a divorce, and he had me move to Texas, and then he wanted me to sleep with this woman that he was with. And I'm like, oh my God, like, so many times I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't even be here, because I obviously keep screwing up and attracting the wrong people. And I recognized that, but I couldn't get out of the cycle. And finally, I just had to make a decision it was a really hard decision to just walk away. And it was scary as shit, because I was out there in Texas by myself. My family was in Michigan, and I'm like, what do I do? Do I move back? And I just kept putting one step forward. There's the Rudolph's cartoon where we'll put one foot in front of the other. Put one foot in front of the other. And that's all I could do, is one day at a time. It's like you can go to Alcoholics Anonymous, even though you're not an alcoholic, because they have Al-Anon, and the 12-step program really does work. And I had to go back and forgive these guys, because they probably didn't, they thought I was consenting, right? But right. I really didn't know what I didn't know. It's such an enormous and huge question. So like just one foot in front of the other. And if you guys want to chime in on how you've gotten through trauma, but that's what I've had to do and just know I've had to love myself. I hated myself. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. It was awful, because I was like, I am such a horrible person, but I wasn't. And I feel like if there was, because my dad was an alcoholic, I felt like I could walk into a room and I would attract the guy with the worst problems, the biggest alcoholic. And then when I started shifting my energy, I don't even know that alcoholics exist anymore.
Well, there's a common thread here. We're all people here that are healers. We're always putting energy out, trying to help people. We're here trying to help people right now. And so we're used to giving. So let's go into the art of receiving. We're all terrible at receiving. So, and I think that's part of it. I think that's part of having to get out of these traumas that we have experienced, because we're all givers, tend to be givers, but we don't know how to receive. And even if we're going into help and therapy, I think a lot of times there's some walls up there with, I'm not used to receiving. I'm not used to this help. And it's kind of hitting a brick wall. And I think we face a lot of that. Even if people are going out in nature and enjoying nature, there might be some kind of resistance there that I need to give to you instead of receive from nature. So I think there's a lot of that also, is that we need to learn how to receive.
Yeah, there's all that self-talk, isn't there, Gail? Gail's, and it's kind of that situation where you've become the black sheep because people haven't listened to you, or you didn't trust people enough to tell them about it. And so then we tell ourselves, well, we're not worthy of that, even if we don't clarify it in our minds. It's kind of the jest that we get, and we don't speak our truth. We don't speak up, and when we do, a lot of times people don't believe us.
Right.
So it is really hard. For me, it took having someone I love dearly also abused, and then really coming out and going through a lot of therapy. And that's when I worked with Rachel Grant, Beyond Journey Beyond. I can't remember the whole name of it anyway right now, but
So she's a therapist.
yeah, she's a therapist, and she specializes going beyond and going into joy.
Can you put that in the chat for everybody?
Yeah, I will. I've got her information here, but it really took changing my story and the story that I told myself to start with, and it eventually bringing in that child back into the fold that had been through all that. And then, like you said, Gail, it's a huge part eventually, if you have it in your heart, to forgive that person, because we don't know their story either. And a lot of them, that's the only time that they were given love, is when they were being abused as children.
Yeah, so that is very good. I was going to write a book one time called "You Are Not Your Seed Assignment."
Oh, I love that.
I walked on a plane, and I was with my second ex-husband, and we did really well together during the .com. We made millions of dollars off of, working with Verizon in the telecom business. And we would always fly first class. And the flight attendant said, "What seat number are you?" I said, 3E or whatever. And I was like, you know what? My name is Gail Lynn. I am not 3E. And I put the ticket there. I'm like, I am not my seat assignment. And I was like, that would be a great title for a book. I didn't write it because it was just too much. It probably would have been 500 pages. So I didn't write it. But, you are not your story.
Yeah. Well, Stardust is asking Gail, so please tell us more about the egg.
Oh, gosh.
This must be the first time she's heard about the egg.
So in a nutshell, or in an eggshell, I love that for me. In an eggshell, it is a sacred geometric sound and light healing chamber. And there is a lot of people, there's a lot of people saying, oh, I'm using scalar technology, I'm using scalar energy. But to my knowledge, and to the scientists that I've spoken to, there is no way to measure scalar energy. So I'm not sure what they think they're using. They say that they're using scalar energy, but if there's no way to measure it, how do they know that? In a nutshell, I think scalar energy is pure love. And I will tell you that much love as I could muster up is in this egg. And all the center owners actually sign a contract that says that they will conduct their business with love, integrity, reliability, and community. And they initial it because that is our brand attributes. And that's how I think we're using scalar energy. But I would say we're using pure love. And the egg is where birth comes from. You come from an egg. So why not heal in an egg, like a womb space, a cocoon? So it's sound and light therapy. People like Edgar Casey have talked about this, Royal Reich, Wilhelm Reich with the Oregon box, Nikola Tesla, all talked about this kind of technology being, available to people with the power of sacred geometry, the 3 6s and 9 numbers, which I've used mathematically, and the egg dimensions and some of the sacred geometric design. And you're in there for 40 minutes with WAV file music that I create with heart-centered musicians with intention, because frequency plus intention equals healing, according to Jonathan Goldman. And so it really teaches you how to connect to your higher self and to release trauma at a cellular level and to love yourself. There's so much love in there. People cry. People just see it and cry, which is crazy. And this is not my invention. It came through me as a download from my galactic family. it's not, I mean, yes, I'm smart and I'm brilliant and yeah. But
Well, you need to take it, the information and run. Yes, you implemented it, not just that you got a download, that you actually implemented it, where probably they went to a lot of people and you were one that finally said, yes, let me do it.
Yeah, no, it was a whole team of Galactic teachers and a team here of mentors, light engineers, sound engineers. How can I put this together? What is the right cubic airspace for this speaker set, this subwoofer? What amplifier should I use? What music player should I use to play music? It's like the Taj Mahal. Every single tile had an intention of where it was located, and every single aspect of the creation of the harmonic egg was so intently like studied and researched and done with love. And really it was supposed to be for my own healing because I had so much issues that I wanted to work with. But then someone said, can I buy one of these? Yeah, sure, I guess. And that now they're in 5 continents, like 14 countries, all over the world, which is so crazy because I've really never hired a marketing firm.
So is the energy is different on that than it would be on an LP, on vinyl, or MP3 or a CD, or how does that work? And is it as close to live music? Because I feel like live music gives me the biggest high. And then going in the harmonic egg, which I've done, is amazing. I mean, just the energy and the light and the feeling, the sensory.
There's analog music, which, some people say they use something. Analog music is probably not, I'm not going to be able to get there. So the closest I can get to like live music is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The closest I can get to it. I love live music. When we go to New Orleans, we go to jazz, and you just sit there and it just, the vibration. So every instrument has a different waveform. So a flute is really simple. A drum is really simple. Really kind of, I don't want to say barbaric, but I mean, it's old, these old instruments. Piano looks more like a waveform. So every instrument has a different waveform. And I believe that every waveform will hit our body in a different place. And so drumming will hit more the root chakra and survival, issues and illnesses, where the flute will help with the liver, sacral chakra. So I think every instrument will hit our systems or organs, our chakras in a different way. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And live music for me is just, it's so healing.
Yeah. It's amazing. And it's amazing that this isn't talked about more, because I was talking to my daughter's partner, and he does sound. I mean, that's what he does. And we were talking about it. I said, well, that makes perfect sense. He was like, yeah, of course.
And it is the future of healthcare. It is the future of healing. I'm going to be filmed on a documentary. July 3rd is the filming for it. And one of her questions is going to be, what does healing look like in 10 years, 20 years, and 50 years from now? So I have to kind of be prepared to answer that. And I'm just super excited to see sound and light therapy, a non-invasive way for people to heal, coming into being. And I think Big Pharma is going to probably try to jump on the bandwagon and patent frequencies and patent all this stuff. And, and I hope that we don't allow that.
Well,
Yeah.
I have a question about that. So sound comes in all different forms besides music. So, of course, I'm meeting the extraterrestrials or aliens. They all have different frequencies and different sounds that they use just to even communicate. So and also when I'm working on a spaceship and I'm working in an operating room, the light is obvious, but the sound that we're using is usually coming through some kind of vibrational, and it's not something you're hearing like music, but it's some kind of vibrational thing that's coming in that is filling up the area. So what else do you see that's going besides that, or do you? Because I know you deal with the Syrians, right? So, and they're the ones that gave you a lot of your information. So where else are you seeing the sound? Because like somebody's in here, I think it's Judith, was putting in about tuning forks. And So that's a different way of, sound coming in, and also a different way of healing sound coming in. So where's that kind of place?
Okay, so it's all very interesting, and I love the resonant chambers because I feel like you get that reverberation inside where it's not getting into the ether of the room or whatever. But I love tuning forks. I've worked with and studied with and received tuning forks from Jonathan. His last name is Bellew. It's Biosonic Tuning Forks. I don't know how to say his French last name, but he's such a great guy and humble person that I would love, people to understand that every product is going to have the energy of the inventor in it. So, you want to make sure that whoever is making the tuning forks, you're also tuning into what was the energy of that person because their energy's in there. So
that would be the same with music too.
Same with music, right? And I have been told that if you are on the same wavelength with somebody who's singing a song and they have a heart condition, you can pick up that heart condition, which to me just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not possible, but apparently it is. And you can look at artwork, you can listen to music. Like for me, looking at artwork, you can see if you've known an artist for a long time, you can see what mood they're in their different stages of their work. I had a friend who was going through a divorce, and you could see his artwork changed, being more angry and more, just sad. And then the divorce was over, and you see the artwork change. Music, obviously, the same thing, right? So I had a couple of songs that I used to use that I licensed from musicians before I started making my own music. And I loved the music, and then I hated it. Found out that he was going through a divorce during those times. I'm like, I just hate this music. And you could feel that energy of the divorce in there. So really crazy stuff. So I think what we're looking at is just sound, being discerning, having some of our own intuition into it. So I will take tuning forks out to my horse, and I'll put it right here on her head, right above her eyes, and she'll back off if it's not the right tone for her.
Yeah.
Sometimes I put it on, she's licking and chewing, and she's just loving the crap out of it. I put bowls on her back. She loves the heart bowl, the heart.
Singing bowl, yeah.
Which is like F or F sharp is the tone. But she doesn't like the more high-pitched ones. That's not good for her energy. So we have to just tune in and find out what's right for us. Going to singing bowl, events, you can listen to all the bowls as they play them, and pay attention to which ones you're like, oh God, I don't, that's not for me. But if you do have that response, maybe it's what you need, and you're resisting it.
Could be. I'm liking what Kelly's talking about. She's saying maybe we should just hum, and humming is a big healing thing. But my favorite part is that cats purr.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh! Could you just bottle up a cat's purr? Somehow or another, because that is so healing.
Oh my gosh! I know. I go outside and I pick up my cats, and they purr, and I just put their head under my chin, and I just love it so much.
Yeah. So, the tuning forks for me, of course, I came from the medical part, chiropractic part. We used it for diagnostic tools. So that's how we use tuning forks. You can take a tuning fork and hit somebody and find out if they have a fracture of the body. If you're wondering if it's broken or not, using a tuning fork, it's going to go right to it. It's not going to feel really good, but also testing the hearing and the conduction to the healing. We also use tuning forks for diagnostic tools.
And it's a skill. I mean, we have to learn these skills. A lot of people, they buy tools, they don't know how to use them, they don't go through the proper training, and then unfortunately they take people down a different rabbit hole. So for example, I got in this really bad car accident. Dr. Gail and I have been talking about it for a while now. It was 10 years ago, and I have some blurry vision, I have headaches, I feel like I'm stuck in fight or flight more often than I should be by using the egg. But I will say that when C1 and C2 are off, and not, that's your cervical vertebrae 1 and 2, when they're off and it's affecting the brainstem and your survival, sometimes there's nothing you can do to get back into balance with your nervous system until you get that fixed. Well, I had the Atlas and C1 and C2 adjusted by a doctor. And now I'm realizing that I don't think she ever did a good adjustment. She didn't do it correctly. So here I'm going down a different rabbit trail. Well, I had this adjusted. It was a good doctor. She knew what she was doing, but I don't think she ever adjusted it properly. So here I am 10 years later with, having still dealing with anxiety and going, wait, I have the harmonic egg. Why am I still dealing with anxiety? But if your body has something out of alignment and your body keeps having that flight or freeze response, there's not a whole lot of things that you can do to get back into balance. So we really have to start listening to our bodies. We have to start trying things. We have to start seeing, okay, this isn't normal. I'm sitting on the couch and I should be relaxing. I can't unwind. I have this anxiety. We don't want to just rush to a Xanax. We want to listen to our body, what it's telling us, and say, okay, what is going on? And if you sit in silence and listen, you're going to get the message. Unfortunately for me, I spent the last 10 years working, 80 to 100 hours a week and never stopping, trying to help everybody to heal. And the very thing, ironically, the very thing that I created for healing was creating more stress for me. So
that's part of what we were talking about is giving and not receiving, and needing to learn how to receive, because receiving feels uncomfortable. So how do we get comfortable with receiving? Because I think that in itself is going to calm a lot of that down. So what are you, Teri, what's your suggestion on the receiving?
Well, really noticing, number one, I just want to talk about the program of the soul and what we attract in our algorithm. And really it's important that we listen to our body, like Gail was talking about, that how are we feeling? Where is it? And I'm always a big proponent of the back of the throat chakra and the back of the heart chakra. And really recognizing that we talk to others, we help others, we give love to others, but when do we receive? So really changing the energy of those chakras is huge for me, because I'm very visual and very linear. And so that's a good energy for me, but also noticing what are we attracting in our lives. And Gail, we were kind of talking about this before we started here too today, that a lot of times as women or people with feminine energy will give, and you'll be at that space that it's not really fight or flight or freeze, but it's kind of an inertia stage where you're getting things done, but you're constantly exhausted or else flustered a bit, right? There's not that peace. So we're really good at taking care of others, but receiving is huge.
Well, and I catch myself not receiving, and I'm getting more aware of it. And then you add menopause to that with the emotions and stuff. So I went through all that. So 2016, I get in the car accident. I think I had just started menopause. 2017, my dad died, and then 11 weeks later, my mom died. And I'm trying to launch a new product. We just had the prototype of the egg, and we just started, going into production. And it's like, oh my gosh! And then the next 10 years up until now, it's been a blur. But I see these things where I don't want to receive. And my sister has a son who's, I think, 12, 13 years old now. And she's now learning from the football coach. The football coach is telling the kids and trying to pound it into their little brains. You need to show up for people. Like, people are showing up for you. You need to show up for them. You can't always just take. So my sister's running around taking him to weight training and football, and then some basketball stuff. And then he just finished track, and she's exhausted. And she asked him to clean the cat bowl, and fill up the cat water, and he doesn't do it. So now she's using the coach. She's like, you need to show up for us as much as we're showing up for you. You're old enough to know and do some chores. And so I want people to realize that we have to show up for each other and receive as much as we give. And I show up for all my center owners. Sometimes I feel like they don't show up for me. I ask them, hey, share this post or do this. And it's like, no, do this for me, do this for me, but they're not showing up for me. And now I'm expecting that because I need them to show up for me as much as I show up for them. And so I was at a gas station one day getting a little bag of chips, which just sounded good. And I get up to the counter, 20-year-old kid, and I was short like 2 cents or something like that. He goes, I got you. And I felt so guilty taking that 2 cents from him, which, he took it out of the little kitty thing. I gave him a nickel. And he's like, wait a minute now. I gave to you, and then you gave me more. He goes, you need to learn how to receive.
A 20-year-old said that.
I was like, thank you. Oh, right. I do need to learn how to receive.
Wow.
Angels.
Yeah, they reacted the same way, especially being a 20-year-old. You need the money more than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love it.
Oh. Yeah. Judith says, I had to remove I do not deserve and say I deserve. And condolences on your father's passing in 2018. Sorry, Hypnicity.
It was tough. And I have this book here and it just keeps staring at me. This is called The Happy Place.
Oh.
And it's a children's book on spiritual values concerning issues faced when becoming adolescents. And I just found this book. I cried a few times reading it. I found this book to be so lovely and so heart-centered. And this little boy was going through a lot with his father. This is one of many stories in the book. Going through a lot with his father. His father was basically abusing him because his father had lost his job and he didn't know how to deal with it. So he's taking it out on his son. So then his son found this group of kids that were happy, and they built a clubhouse, and he saw them through, the woods, like watching them being happy and everything. So he went at night and wanted to destroy their happiness because he wasn't happy. And then there's a little fairy that comes and she teaches them, you need to go make friends with him. They're like, no, we hate him. He's like tried to destroy, our happy place. And so then they befriended him, and it was so lovely how he said, I'm so sorry that I got so angry and I didn't know how to deal with, my issues. And I tried to destroy your happiness because I wasn't happy. And I can't believe that you actually wanted to be my friend. And there's just so many lovely little stories in there about forgiveness and giving and receiving and setting intentions. It's just a really lovely book.
It sounds amazing. Yeah. There's, we don't see the angels all the time, but they're all around us, aren't they? And it feels like a lot of times light workers, we get a lot of bumps in the road so that we can see the light and make changes, like you developing the Harmonic Egg and the app now, and your books that you've written, Gail. So it's like, all these things are adding up to change the planet. But it does seem like sometimes we develop a lot of darkness so we can see the light.
Well, that's why I produced a documentary called It's Time. And, I've self-funded it and it's for free. I don't charge anybody to watch it. It's on YouTube. But it's about, one thing that I want people to realize, we need to do more things with kindness and love. And so, and less judgment. So it opens up with, the only thing that separates us is judgment, right on the screen, black and white. And then it ends with a Muhammad Ali quote about, what can we do every day to do things with more love? And if just 10% of the world did something every day with more love, we could change the world.
Yeah. And that's an amazing, amazing show too. It's just, movie. I cried at the end. Yeah.
I still cry when I watch it.
Yeah. It's so well produced too, you guys. I know I've got the banner here for it somewhere, but it really is special.
Yeah. I put my heart and soul into it. It ended up getting streaming on Gaia TV, Next Level Soul TV, and New Reality TV. Because I didn't really market it, but those people reached out to me. And one guy on Gaia made a comment. He's like, you should be ashamed of yourself, Gaia, for putting this out there. That's all AI. It was no AI. It is beautiful, nature scenery. I mean, we went through and paid for some of these, because you got to pay for footage, when you put it in a film, and everything is not AI. It is. We filmed in Michigan, we filmed in Sedona, we filmed in Denver, in Colorado, and nothing is AI. And I was like, a huge insult, but maybe a compliment if it was that good. It looked like AI did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The artwork is amazing. Did you do all that yourself, the artwork or the direction?
So all the, we had a really good editor, and I was saying, okay, this is the scene I want here. This is the scene I want here. And all the music is, well, not all of it, but a lot of the music was Harmonic Egg music in the background during different scenes. And then at the very end, one of my center owners in Canada, she did an original piece of the last song. So yeah, it's like the musical composition, the nature scenes, but I was right there with the editor, like, this is what I want here. This is what I want here. This is the progression. So yeah, I was basically put it all together myself, which that's a whole long story we won't get into. Doing it, right? I was supposed to have a team doing it.
Well, that probably be a part of it too, is asking for help when receiving, asking for help. But there's the other part of that, asking or paying for help. So because people are hard to receive, or it is difficult to receive, sometimes they just pay for it and will not just accept somebody giving you something, just like the 5 cents to 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, okay, you guys, maybe it's just me, but has anybody else been dealing with the incompetence of the world? Because I'm having a piece of granite put in my kitchen, and I went out and went to all these different places, and I picked out this piece of granite that has this pink geode. It's about that big, and that's what I want highlighted. So I go to the granite company yesterday to work with the cutter, and he was like, oh yeah, we're not going to be able to get that into the piece because it's going to be covered by your stovetop in the center of the island. I was like, no, that's not the right answer.
You just move it down.
I paid a stupid amount of money for this granite to highlight this pink geode in this white and blue granite. And I was like, no. So then I said, well, maybe you can make me a cutting board out of it. Yeah, we can do that. And I was like, no. And my guys were telling me, no, there's a solution. And I came up with the solution. They're the experts. And he's like, oh yeah. So he went and did a bunch of CAD stuff, and he's like, oh, here it is. The pink one's, now the pink is going to be highlighted right here in the corner. I'm like, exactly. But why do I have to do that? Why do I have to come up with the idea? And I told my boyfriend, he's like, I'm impressed that you came up with that idea. They should have come up with the idea. And then now he's kicking himself because his piece of granite, where the piece that he liked about his granite is like kind of off to the side. He's like, had I thought about that, I would have shared that with them. So I got frustrated with that. Then I go get an oil change, and my rear differential bolt is stripped. And the only place I've ever had it before now is Toyota. And I was like, so you strip a bolt? I called Toyota after. I'm like, you strip a bolt? And you'd be like, oh, well, it's not my problem. I guess somebody else can deal with it later. What the hell is going on with the incompetence, the lack of customer service, the laziness, and the lack of integrity out in the world right now? And I can tell you 3 more stories just from yesterday. I paid people to do something, and they just screwed it up, and well, it's not my problem.
Okay, so back to the question of receiving and paying for receiving. So I think that's a big issue too, is that we feel like we cannot receive unless we're paying for it. So I think that's another part of it.
Well, what about, well, if it's free, you don't appreciate it.
That could be it. But again, I think that is, if it's free and you're receiving it, are you not accepting it, or is it, if you pay for it, it's easier to receive it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another segment, I would say, of all of the receiving.
Yeah. I think there's a message here, Gail. That's just what I'm hearing about all these, and it's interesting. Is it mostly men? masculine energy.
There are
So
females, don't get me wrong. I'm not bashing
yeah,
men. I love men, but it is a lot of the masculine energy. And I think I'm attracting it, but what is my lesson is what I'm trying to figure out.
that's what I'm looking at. And I'm like, it feels like it's about the divine masculine, but you're having an opportunity to really develop your divine masculine too, aren't you?
Oh yeah. I'm in there cussing up a store being like, what the
I kind of love that. Well, good for you. Yeah. And sometimes it is kind of hard to do that when we lost our voice.
Yeah. Well, not, and
But
don't get me wrong, I want to correct that because I am always nice. I will
of course.
what the F? Like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, but I'll be nice about it. I called Toyota and I was like, listen, I don't want to have a fight about this, but you guys are going to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, because you're the only one that has had my car up until now. So you guys stripped the bolt. And she was nice. Of course, I think it's still going to be a fight when I go in there because she was just the phone girl. And she's like, yeah, I think we can do that. Just bring it in on Wednesday and plan to be here for 2 hours. And I'm like, really? So I got to waste 2 hours of my time because one of your technicians decided to strip the bolt and just leave it that way. And he knew he stripped it, or she, but most of them are guys that work there because I've seen them come in and out of the shop. So obviously there's a message for me here, but I try to do it with kindness. And I've had a lot of stuff that's gone right for me because of the kindness. I'll say, listen, you guys, you shipped this product for me, you destroyed it, and now you're denying the claim. Like, how do you justify that? Oh, well, this and that and another thing. And sometimes it's a year or 2 or 3 of a fight, but I'm always nice and
Of course. Yeah.
it gets resolved, but it should be easier.
Of course. Yeah. Demira says, hi, everyone. Painting and watching. Yes. Living in Mexico where machismo runs abound. I'm often proven right.
Yeah, right? I love that. I don't love it, but yes, there's
What
a lot
about
of
Leona here? She pays people. I think that's a good way to look at it too.
Yeah.
She says,
To get
I found myself paying people, so I had more time to help others, yet never getting it done right.
So let me say something to Leona. So I have the same experience, but I sometimes think that what is right to me, the other person says I did it. I didn't think how I wanted it done. So I wasn't right. So Leona, look at that too with yourself. Like, is it done or is it done right to your standards? Or was it done right to their standards? Because I have that too.
Yeah. And it feels like it's something about control. I feel like we're all being kind of asked to let go of the control unit, like, put it down. And
I still don't know what the egg does.
So it uses sound and light to help reset the nervous system. It takes you into a state of consciousness below the level of consciousness and helps you kind of to tune into the universal wisdom, to your higher self. So it's kind of a meditation, like a manifestation type egg to help your nervous system. And when your nervous system is in balance, our bodies are very magical and they heal naturally. So it's just the correct environment for the body to heal. You can learn harmonic egg.
I'm going to make it much more simpler.
Yeah.
Stardust. There is an egg, and it has a nice chair that you go inside this egg and get enclosed in it. And you go kind of in a meditative state while you're under some light, and you're having light, and you're having music, all these different things that takes you to a different level, and it takes your nervous system and it calms it down, and you heal. Did I say that simply enough?
Yeah.
Correctly? I think that's what she's.
Stardust writes back because, I mean, sometimes I don't start at the lowest, part because I'm already, I've done so much and I forget to say, okay, step 1 is this. So let's see if that helps Stardust.
Yeah. And there's the website, the harmonicegg.com Stardust, and it's lovely. And then there's also the app, but it really does change our energy, I think, to get in there and let go. Yeah.
There was a guy, I talked to a guy yesterday and he's closer to the Oregon border. I have to look where Seattle is. But we used to have one in Seattle, but it was a long story. The girl bought it and she was really sick. And after a couple of years, she passed away. And so, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So what happened to that egg?
He ended up selling it to a lady who put it in her home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
my boyfriend did. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have them in homes. I do.
Yeah, when you're,
I don't.
of course you would.
Yeah, I couldn't live without it. I put my horse's picture in there. If my cats are sick, I put their picture in there. I'm in there. I mean, my boyfriend comes in. My boyfriend just did this. This is funny. He had a heart condition, which caused him to have a pacemaker and stents put in about maybe 18 years ago. I don't know, I'm guessing, when his wife passed away. So his wife passed away, and he had 40% of his heart died a year later. Now, he doesn't believe in broken heart stuff, but I was like, that was the love of your life. You were with her for 27 years. You had 2 kids together, and she died, and she was in her 50s. So he had the pacemaker put in, and then the battery needed to be replaced about maybe 4 years into us dating, and he had been doing a lot of sound and light therapy sessions. So then his ejection fraction and cardiac output numbers, which tells how the heart is functioning and how much of it is possibly dead, it regenerated.
So where's his ejection fraction at now?
So it's still good. So I'll continue with the story. So he had the battery replaced. The doctor told me, this is a fully functioning heart. I don't know if it was really damaged or they lied or whatever. I'm like, yeah. We tried to order all the records and we looked. We couldn't find anything to compare when he first got the surgery done. So he has a battery replaced. Now it's time to replace the battery again because we're going on 15 years of being together. And he had to have an electrocardiogram. And he goes into the doctor's office. Now he was born in 52, so he's 70 some years old. And he said, how's my heart functioning from the last time? She's like, actually, your heart is better than the 10-year ago test. And nobody questions this. Nobody said, well, what are you doing or anything like that, So it was kind of funny. I believe our bodies are so magical and they can heal. They have to have the right environment.
I love this. We're hearing from Naibarumi, myself. Hello, Gail. Sound, vibration, light, and frequency. The egg is amazing healing portal. I know from experience. Much love to you, Gail, and all you do. Michael Freehawk.
So, I didn't know Micah was Nibiru or myself one. Cute.
Hi, Michael. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Leona's had 3 open heart surgeries and 2 new valves. It's healing. From being broke, I feel it. Oh, honey.
That's so sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And you were talking, it does feel a lot like scalar energy in a way that you were talking about putting the photographs in there and your cats in there and whatnot, because that's a similar thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being in the frequency.
Children and animals respond so quickly. And I think it's because they only know love. And if we only knew love, I think we could heal much more quickly, but we don't love ourselves. And so then we say we love other people, but we don't love ourselves. And we tell ourselves we're stupid. And we're just mean to ourselves. We're mean to other people. We still act like children as adults because we're so stuck in this trauma. But yeah, I think animals and children, they just heal so fast because they just know love.
Yeah. It's all love, isn't it? Yeah. The universe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bruce Lipton's been teaching about it for years. Hypnicity says. I agree.
And then Bruce Lipton talks about epigenetics, which I believe are so powerful because a lot of people think things are hereditary, but I really don't. I mean, there's probably something. I don't want to say it's always or never, but when we have illnesses, we can kind of trace it back to our ancestors in their lifestyle, in their environment. You grow up on a farm with DDT being sprayed and everybody's got cancer. You're like, oh, I'm going to have cancer because my mom had cancer. Well, yeah, because everybody got sprayed by DDT or whatever. My mom had mercury fillings. And so I have cyclic neutropenia because the mercury leached out through the blood, the placenta barrier, and and I have this disease, but that's not hereditary. I mean, it was a root cause. My grandmother had diabetes because she ate Danishes off the assembly line at Ori Bakery for 30 years.
Yum, yum, yum. I want her job.
Yeah, my mom's like, you're going to have diabetes because grandma had diabetes and my mom's eats sugar so much. And so my mom and I had a contest who could eat the least amount of sugar grams, and whoever lost the most weight would win. Well, I didn't really have a lot of weight to lose, so she won. But her A1C and her glucose numbers went down. Surprise!
Nice.
For me, I would go quality of life between quantity of life. I want my Danish.
My grandma loved her sweets. But yeah, she passed away from, diabetes, and she was in a nursing home, and she was another medical error death. They forgot to give her meds for 5 days and she passed away.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, this has been amazing. And I think, what we brought us all to this is we were talking about the difference between the harmonics or the energy of the MP3, and then what the app does that you've developed, the Harmonic Egg app, harmonicegg.net. .com, sorry. So it is amazing and it's ingenious, and that we don't look at that. But you guys, I mean, I will, if I can't sleep, I will turn on a YouTube channel that will have, dark noise on it.
I do too.
So,
I do.
yeah. Yeah. What a difference that would make if it was different harmonizing.
Right. Yeah. And
I feel put on something that's a meditation, and it goes boom, gone.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Gail?
Oh no, I was just saying, I just think it's so important for people to listen to high quality music, the best they can. And, we have these iPhones and Androids, and they don't have great speakers either. So, I'm not sure what the music's, if you're listening to a compressed file on a crappy pair of speakers, that's even worse. So yeah, we should probably take, and get a decent set of speakers to listen to really high quality music.
Excellent.
Stardust, you still don't know what the egg does?
Still don't know.
Well, I just go ahead and look at the website, and maybe you can read up on it, or either go over to Gail Lynn's channel, subscribe there, and you can listen to her describing that and what it does. It goes into a lot more detail about it.
Oh, so Teri, it's harmonicegg.com. Not the app is a different website. Harmonicegg.com for just the Harmonic Egg.
Okay.
I'm sorry we're not able to help you, Stardust. It's a large wooden egg that has sound and light in it, and it's super magical.
Yeah, it really is. And the combination of the sound and the light and being insulated, like in an egg, like you're in the womb. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, Jesus was saying she uses sound and color in my reflexology. That's very interesting.
Love reflexology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Gail, can you do it, or does it make your feet tickle?
Can what now?
Do you do reflexology, or does it tickle your feet?
I am extremely ticklish.
I know.
I doing a pedicure and they start doing the bottom of your feet.
Oh my God.
Crap.
Yeah, me too.
I can't stand it. Cannot stand it.
Me three. Yeah.
You're that ticklish too, Teri?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't mess with the bottom of my feet.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So I don't know how I would do a reflexology now. I have looked at it, but I don't know, because reflexology is more pressure. I think I probably would handle that a lot better than, doing like scrubbing the bottom of your feet or whatever. I think reflexology would be a lot easier, but yeah, my bottom of my feet. No, not touching it. That is torture for me.
Oh, that's so funny.
Well, thank you for being here again, Gail Lynn. This was just heaven talking to you. It's so much fun and so interesting. And Dr. Gail, thank you for being here. And I'll thank myself for being here because we're receiving today. We're in the receiving mode.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, happy solstice to everybody out there. Lots of
And
sunshine
happy
to you all.
Father's Day tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Happy Father's Day to everybody. All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.